Age of Radio.
Today's episode, Missy and I are talking about belonging. Welcome.
Ladies and gentlemen, please take your seats. The show is about to begin.
Episode of On Finding Peace, and this is the podcast where Missy and I talk about daily practical life tips that you can do to find your happiness and your inner peace. And today we're going to be discussing belonging. How are you, Missy? I see you're back outside.
Back outside. It's early this morning, so there's no humidity, no heat, and the breeze is just amazing today. So I love I get to sit down and soak up the rustling of the leaves and watch the birds fly by and stuff like that. So if you see me trailing off, if you're watching this on YouTube, then that's what I'm doing. I swear I'm not, spacey. Not that much anyway.
Not hallucinating or anything.
No. I don't see trails. Yeah.
Okay. Very good.
How about yourselves? How are you doing?
I'm doing pretty good. The weather has changed. For those who are watching this, that is not a imaginary backdrop.
Yeah.
Actually, the last few video episodes have been my imaginary green screen. But this is real. I'm actually outside. The weather is nice, and I have my cup of coffee and my peace mug.
Yeah, so, nice.
Yeah. So life is pretty good right now, I would say.
Yeah, absolutely. It looks beautiful there. And I heard the birds chirping when we first got online.
Yeah, hopefully they'll swing their way back. I have had some aircraft coming by, so we'll hope they stay away for a little bit.
Yeah.
But yes, it is nice. We got a nice cool breeze. So life is good. We have to be thankful for these little gifts.
Absolutely. Well, and then I think that's that's a good segue into what we're talking about today is belonging and how we get to feel grateful for the things that we do belong to, right?
Exactly.
I don't know if, I'm going to start it off by saying something to the effect of there's a series called One Strange Rock. Right, and it's a amazing series about 11 astronauts who go into space and get to see the world from a different point of view than all of us. And basically, the culmination of all of the episodes kind of comes down to the fact that they really get to see the world differently, and really it's about belonging. It's about being one with this living planet and belonging to the human race and having the ability to create on this planet, build things, extremely incredible manifestations that we all come up with, whatever they may be, and that allow us to, be part of something bigger than just this body.
Yep.
So anyways, I highly recommend that if anybody's interested in that kind of, series, but it's a neat documentary.
I'm going to have to check that out. The space and astronomy has always been a fascination of mine. And
Yeah.
I wouldn't say a hobby because I don't really study it, but I do read and listen to podcasts about it. And that is one of the things actually that I've often wondered because my message is always about perspective and shifting perspective. And
Yeah.
I can't imagine what it would be like to look at our planet from afar, to get that perspective, because we can't. I mean, sitting here, we can't
No.
get that very large picture perspective. And I just can't even creatively imagine what that perspective gives you.
Yeah, it's got to be awe-inspiring, right? It has to be awe-inspiring, you know, and because like I was actually walking up my driveway last night and it's a half moon right now. And I just stared up at it thinking, what if I was there looking here, you know, and the difference, you know, the blue planet, right? The living planet, the water, the trees, the eruptions of volcanoes. Like, I know that this is really not about the subject of belonging as much as, but in perspective, it is, because this is what we get. We get to take care of this world. We get to be a part of this world. And, you know, that makes me want to do something greater than worry about myself indulging needs, right? You know, like going shopping and don't get me wrong, those are fun. And I think that they're amazing things. But like when I think of it on a greater level, I feel like that's what we're here to, you know, create that sense of belonging where we can all just, you know, live and love and learn, definitely learn. We definitely learn from each other, right? But I think that that's part of the creation that we've been given.
And I totally agree. When I look at this notion of belonging, it takes me kind of back to the question of, well, why are we here?
Yeah.
And I'm not saying it from a spiritual sense necessarily, more of the philosophical, you know, why are we here? I mean, do we have
Right.
a purpose?
Yeah.
And I think when you look at purpose, doesn't purpose usually, if it's going to have any meaning, have something to do with other people?
Oh yeah. Yeah,
You know, if you
absolutely.
look at like, why am I specifically here on this planet at this time?
Right.
The only answer I can come up with that would have any sense of meaning about it is going to include other people.
Right.
You know, why would I as an individual be here just to be here by myself? What purpose or meaning could that serve?
So in the course that I take, you know, and I know I mention it a lot, but it's just been so impactful on me. A Course in Miracles, the book, they talk about seed and soil, right? And when we're in the masculine sense, which is like our doership and, you know, getting things done and our focus and our ability to focus, that's the masculine. And the creative side and the ability to kind of be the container for things is the context is the feminine side. And we really are supposed to, whether I'm a female or male, I'm supposed to be able to balance those things. Or I think that that's part of the purpose, is to balance those things. And I start to recognize that when I look at my children, when I look at the people in my family, when I look at my friends or the work relationships that I hold, and even my relationship, you know, where I get to be creative with you, I get to embody in those that soil, right? So I'm the seed. I'm the soil, you're the seed, right? And you get to blossom into whatever the pattern is that the soil and the seed hold. And that's what I'm starting to realize, that sense of belonging, I might not get the spotlight in this lifetime, right? I might not be, you know, the next Mel Robbins or Tony Robbins or whatever. I might not be that, but maybe I get to be the soil where somebody else will excel to that level in their life. And that makes me feel like I'm the stage, they're in the spotlight, right? They're, you know, and that makes me feel like I'm participating. I'm fulfilling a purpose, even though, you know, the ego side of me does go, well, what about me? Well, what's wrong with me? Well, how come I can't? I'll never do that. You know, like there's those things that still come up every now and then, but the belonging sense, when I look at it that way, that shift in perspective, kind of like you said earlier, it just helps me to realize that we all have that special part, you know, and you know, you also are soil as much as, you know, I get to be seed, right? Because we learn from one another, and you hold the container for me to learn things bigger and better. So I think that that's a huge part of what other people have to do. And how we can grow from those relationships when we figure out what we are. We figure out, are we the soil or are we the seed? Am I learning here or am I holding a container for somebody else to grow?
And I don't know if this is possible, but if we can shift the perspective of your perspective,
Right?
so we're doing a lot of shifting of perspectives.
Sure.
But when you talk about the sense of belonging and that some of us are soil and seed, some of us may be the star and some are the stage, that the star stands on. When I look at all of that and that shift in perspective, that's where the belonging comes in, because the one needs the other.
Yeah.
It's not that one is more important than the other.
Right.
So when you talk about, say, like a Robin's up on stage and he's getting all the praise and accolation and all that. But if it weren't for the stage,
That's right. Where would he stand?
Exactly. And the same thing with, seed and soil. You can't have growth of a seed if you don't have the soil, unless you're doing aquaponics, but that's a different.
Right. Well, I mean, and
someone's going to comment and say, yeah, you can, but you know what I'm saying here.
Yeah. But I mean, and that like, and there's other things, right? Not only do you need soil, you need sunlight, you need water, so there's a lot of things that hold context for that seed to grow. And I think that I look back to when I was a child, right? And I look at the memories that I believe are true. And there was no barrier, right? There was no barrier between me and my next door neighbor or me and my friend and that's what I think that belonging is. It's not, are we both females? Are we both thin females? Are we both blonde females, right? Or with purple hair, right? There's things all the time that when we go out in public, like I see somebody with purple hair and I immediately go, oh, I love your hair. And they look at me and they go, oh, I love your hair, right? And so there's a cute little sense of belonging, but grander, on a larger scale, we're belonging all the time. Like I was talking with a girlfriend of mine who is really she's an amazing woman, and she doesn't see that right now. She's in the dip right now. And one of the things that, of course, she feels loneliness because physically there's no one there. So she physically feels like, I'm lonely, I'm alone. And I'm like, you're not alone. You're never going to be alone. There's no way you can be alone. And it's the reaching out for yourself. Like sometimes that's what it's taught me, that when I'm alone and I'm being reclusive, then I'm closing myself off, right, to not belonging. And so opening ourselves up to that leads to going into the grocery store. Okay, well, I got to pick up stuff for dinner tonight, or my family members are there and they're going to come home tonight and they're going to, be around me. There's a big difference between being open to receiving that love and being closed off to receiving it. Because, we walk around with attitudes. We don't smile at people. We just go in, get our stuff done. And that's a lot in the masculine, which is, there's nothing wrong with that. But at the same time, if you want to be creative and you want to have that openness to be able to, have a new opportunity, well, you never know if you're going to be closed to I'm alone, or that's the only possibility for you, right? Then when you go out in public, you never know. You could meet a new person. I mean, I went to yoga on the beach last week and, hit it off with a lady like that. And, we became best buds right there on the beach. And it was like, that was awesome. I was open to that. But if I were, in a different mindset, then I would feel like I didn't belong. And she and I were total different creatures. She was a dancer. I am not flexible. I mean, like she was a brunette, I'm a blonde. So that we were able to admire each other in our differences even shows that there's something deeper on the level of belonging.
Well, and I think that's one of the things that's getting in the way of society right now. And not to get into a debate of the critique of society necessarily, but it appears that we're at a point that we're longing for this belonging.
Yeah.
But I wonder if we're looking at it from a perspective that's not healthy, because it seems that people are looking for the belonging in the opposite of what you were just saying. They're looking for the belonging of similar.
Yeah.
who has my story, who can relate to me, who looks like me, who,
Right.
and we seem to be on this larger scale grouping ourselves amongst people who either look like me or have a lived experience as I, so that we can have that sense of belonging.
Yeah.
Which, nothing against that, but I think what we're missing is the bigger picture of belonging. That I
Mm.
don't think belonging necessarily means I have to have lived your story. I think it's the bigger sense of belonging as we're both humans,
Well,
and leaving it at that higher level of that. That's how we belong to each other. And then, sure, look at similarities, differences, whatever.
so, I mean, I think that most of our listeners probably have heard of the law of attraction, right? And like attracts like. Um,
Yeah.
and I feel that the greatest gift that anybody can give me is the ability to teach. And not because I know something better. I've done it many times before and I failed and I can teach you what not to do. It's not like that. In the sense of teaching, what I mean is really having the ability to kind of let the love flow through me. And the reason it's a gift to me is because I get to learn as I'm teaching. We teach what we most need to know, right? And, I can't think of one person who hasn't had a story and walked into a room and went, oh my gosh. And then 5 other people went, oh my gosh, me too, right? And we do that for a sense of belonging. So I completely understand what you're saying. And it's both on a what we want and what we don't want side, right? And so I think that there's some benefit in learning from either way.
Yeah, I think as long as it doesn't become exclusionary.
Yeah. Oh no, for sure. That's great. Good point.
Because I would agree with what you're saying. I mean, to me, I think self-help groups of any ilk, I've always recommended in all my years of counseling and focusing on substance use. I've always encouraged self-help groups.
Right.
Because one of the reasons they work is that you can walk into a room and you have a bunch of people who can say, yeah, I get it.
Yeah.
And honestly get it.
Yeah.
They're not just saying I get it. They've lived this experience, and we can belong in that sense of lived experience.
Absolutely.
So definitely nothing wrong with that. But I think we're fracturing ourselves right now by maintaining these belonging groups without looking at a bigger picture of belonging.
Well, to your point, I think I like to share that there's 2 ends of the pole: what you want and what you don't want. And where you put your energy is what you're going to get out of life,
Yep.
right? And what you're going to get out of belonging. So it's what you want and the lack thereof, right? That's, I think, how Abraham Hicks puts it. And it really causes you to kind of stop a minute and like, we all have that little voice when we're getting ready to, let's say, tease somebody or make fun of something. Like, really, I probably shouldn't do this, but I'm going to do it anyway because it's going to be hilarious, right? Or we ignore the little voice is what I'm trying to say. And I think that the vibration in those kind of groups, what it does is it can pull you up or it can pull you down, right?
Yep.
And so again, it's just all where you're focusing your energy, I think.
Yep, totally agree.
Yeah.
What do you think someone could do if they feel they don't belong in the general sense of belonging and really long to belong? How do you even start to belong?
Gosh, so without trying to be too overly spiritual, I first try to remind people that you're not a body, right? You're what's living inside of that body. So you can never be broken, harmed, damaged, you're perfect, whole, and complete, basically. And everybody is. And so when you look at people as that's who they are, and you look at yourself as that's who you are a lot more forgiving towards when you fall asleep. Let's call it falling asleep, because we've all had those high points, right? And then we all get back down into the low points. And again, I'm going to quote Abraham Hicks. It's like a little baby. If that little baby was falling asleep, you wouldn't be like, get up, you stupid baby. And that's what we do, right? So just be kind to yourself, and remember you are where you are to be able to learn and grow, and reach out. I mean, like, I don't mean reach out to dump everything that you're feeling on other people, but figure out what you do enjoy, whether it's going outside and walking in nature, or taking a bike ride, or, you know, some sort of exercise or creativity, artwork, singing, music. You know, there are tons of things that will help you just even a little bit at a time raise your vibration, but you have to be intentional about that. And as long as you are, you'll get to where you're supposed to be, and you'll pull yourself out of the hole as long as you stop focusing on the hole that you're in.
Yeah, I think that's very true, because that you do get what you put out there in you know, that sense that, you know, if you're in the hole and you feel like that's how the world is, well, that's where you're going to stay.
Yeah. Yeah.
If you imagine yourself outside of that, you know, then that's going to be different. And I think in the sense of belonging, you know, it's using each other's gifts and creativity.
Yeah.
For some reason, the example has popped in my head. I haven't thought of this one for ages. The story of a donkey stuck in a well.
Yep.
And the person starts filling up the well with dirt.
Yeah.
You know, and everybody's looking at him like, well, why are you burying the donkey?
Yeah.
But
The donkey
in reality,
Yep.
yeah, the donkey was shaking it off, but was able to climb onto that next level of dirt.
Yeah.
And then get buried, shake it off, and hit the next level, where eventually the donkey jumps out of the, you know,
Yeah.
and that was the whole point of filling it with dirt. Wanted to bury the, you know, donkey. But, you know, if you look at that negative and say you're burying a donkey alive, you know, stop doing what you're doing.
Yeah.
Well, then the donkey would have never been saved. Where if you can change your perspective and maybe look at a positive on what's going on,
Yeah.
you could have had that foresight and say, oh, wait a minute, you're onto something here.
Yeah. Well, and I have two little anecdotes that I used to say very similar. One very similar is, don't forget, you can't move a mountain overnight, but you can move it one dirt pile at a time, right? And then two, I used to actually get down in the dirt. You know, if somebody was stuck in the mud, I would get in the mud with them, because I thought that's what I'm supposed to do. I'm a friend, right? I'm going to fix this by helping them out, and I'm going to just jump right in the mud. But if you're stuck in a hole and I jump in with you, I'm not going to be able to help. But if I throw you a rope and pull you out, then that's going to help a lot more. And so, you know, I think in that way, it's like, that's what helps people to feel like they belong. People just want other people to care. You know, we all want other people to care. And regardless of the situation, we don't know where anybody's been. We don't know what they're mentally going through, physically going through, how they're struggling financially or not. But we could all use to stop jumping to conclusions,
Exactly.
to make us all feel like we could belong a little bit better. So I'm curious if our listener challenge should be to see if our listeners are willing to reach out to someone who is nothing like them at all. Matter of fact, even somebody that they may have those kind of thoughts about, and reach out to them and try to form a friendship with them, to see, you know, who they are, what they feel, what kind of people they are, and extend that sense of belonging. How do you feel about that, Chris?
I think that's probably one of the best and most challenging
Yeah.
listener challenges we have had.
And look, here's what I have to say. Take yourself on. That's
Mhm.
that's it. Take yourself on, because look, the worst that's going to happen? No. Okay. Well, all right. I tried. I put effort out there. But when I say take yourself on, it's like, what does Yoda say? There is no try, there's only do, right? You put effort into it and really make it something that, because I have somebody right now that I have in mind that I'm like, I was ready to go kidnap her today and just go like, you know what, we're going for a walk, because she's become very reclusive recently. And
Like
I
a lot
know
of
that if
people
I
during
invite
COVID.
her, yeah, she has the ability on Facebook or whatnot to just not respond. She has the ability to not answer her phone. But if I show up, guess what? You're going with me. There's no ifs, ands, or
Exactly.
buts about it. And even if she doesn't want to go, guess what? I can pull up a chair. I'm going to sit down and
Yeah.
I'm going to take myself on for this, because she's showing me a part of me that needs some love. That's what's, what, so I appreciate the reflection, and I'm going to do something about it.
I think that is an awesome challenge. And like I say, this is probably the biggest, because this is going to impact, us as individuals more than I think some of the others, because we actually have to confront another person,
Rather than
which
work on
means
it
I'm confronting
ourselves.
myself.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Look, we're all in a box. And look,
Mhm.
the only thing that's going to cause you to get out of that box is to extend yourself past it, is to
Yep.
reach out of your comfort zone. And I know you guys can do it. Like it's intimidating. It can maybe cause a little bit of mental frustration or anxiety even, but when you do it, you're going to feel like, that was so easy. Like, what was I even thinking? Why did I put myself in a mental prison? So
Especially when it goes well. But as you say, I encourage people to do it. Even if it doesn't go well, then you just do it again.
yeah,
Find somebody else, because we're not in control of other people. We're in control of ourselves.
yeah,
So the whole challenge is to challenge yourself. So if you go challenge yourself and the other person is like, now go away. Okay, I go away, which means I'm going away to someone else.
yeah, exactly. I'm going to try
And
somewhere else.
yeah, exactly. So yeah, keep trying and keep challenging until you can actually do it. And that's when you're going to understand the growth and even your own belonging.
Yeah, absolutely. I love it. That
Yeah.
was good. I'm excited about today. I hope we actually, I'm excited about the feedback we're going to get.
Yeah. And really hoping for people to, share what did they do for this challenge. But I'm looking for, don't just share what you did. How did you overcome the struggle?
Yeah.
So, saying, hey, I went to my neighbor and, or like with you, I went over there and we walked. Okay, that's great.
Yeah.
But what was your struggle? What did you overcome, and how did you overcome that? Because that's where the learning comes in. It's not just you go to your neighbor and do something and extend yourself, but how were you able to do that?
Yeah.
Because we can have some listeners sitting back going, I just can't do the challenge. I don't even know how to do the challenge.
Right.
Well, teach them how to do the challenge.
Sometimes we got to step outside ourselves. And that's it. I mean, we all have our own little bubble that we're living in. We've got our kids, our work, our bills, our houses, our cars, whatever. Sometimes, extending yourself outside of your own personal bubble is the challenge.
Mm-hmm.
So we make time for what's important, right?
Yeah, exactly. So let's make this important.
Yeah. I love it. Thanks, Chris.
Awesome. Well, thank you. That was a great suggestion. And just to remind our listeners, Missy and I don't script this. So these are our thoughts that just pop up. And this was a great listener challenge that, just kind of popped up. And then I'm really excited about it to see what people are going to do, with the challenge. And so I would encourage, all of you to share this podcast, to like it, comment it on any of the sources that you're listening to us. And if you really do like it, you can click the link and go buy us a cup of coffee. And that will give you some perks and some rewards and gifts, and just to help support this show and the mission and the message that we're trying to spread. So we would really
Absolutely.
appreciate that.
We appreciate you all listening. Thank you so much.
Yeah. Have a great day, everyone.
All right.